and this is going to be the last one. There's going to be no more after this. And what am I going to do to make me better? How do I make me better? If you watch the news, God bless you, I don't watch it because it's always like bad stuff, bad stuff, bad stuff, more bad stuff. They're not very good. My first interviews are not very good. What we need is to hear positive, encouraging stories. Then we did Can't Hurt Me. If you get easily offended and your feelings hurt, don't do Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, because he just don't care about your feelings. But it's been over 40 guests. You know, where are they now? What happened to them? So who's the blonde chick? Said it at the beginning of the show. Wow, that one hit home. That one really reached out and touched me. It's all about you. It's all about the listeners. It's all about making sure that we help you to become the best that you can come. You just have to take the first step. And if you don't know what that is, hit me up.
This is the Clark Connection Podcast, your weekly dose of inspiration and power. We'll dive deep into the stories and strategies that ignite personal growth and entrepreneurial fire. Join us as we empower you to take control, level up your leadership, and build the life you deserve. Get ready to rise, to thrive, and to finally become the leader of your own destiny. Let's go.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Clark Connection Podcast. As we wrap up this Thanksgiving weekend, I wanted to slow down, look back, and really reflect on what an incredible year 2025 has been, both for me personally and for this podcast community. I'm your host, Aaron Clark, aka The Coach. And you know, it's easy for me to move from goal to goal without ever stopping to appreciate the journey. But when I look back where the conversations we had, the stories that we shared, and the growth that happened, not just in my life, but in the lives of so many listeners, man, I can't help but be grateful. Grateful for the people, grateful for the lessons, grateful for the impact that this show is having. Now, before we jump in, I have to give a huge shout out to this episode's sponsor, Vicky and her team with Hubbard Flooring Studio. Vicky, thank you so much for believing in the mission of this show, the Clark Connection Podcast, and for partnering with us to bring this year in review episode to life. If you're in the market for flooring, or you want to work with someone who truly cares about excellence, craftsmanship, make sure you check out Hubbard Flooring Studio. And look, right now she's offering 24 months, 0% financing on your flooring project. And if you mention me, Coach Clark, you'll get an extra 20% off of your rugs, plus a free bottle of professional grade cleaner. So if your home needs a fresh look, and I mean, we've got Thanksgiving just ended, that Christmas is right around the corner. Hit her up so your house is looking top notch for the Christmas holidays. Reach out to Vicky at Hubbard Flooring Studio. She'll take great care of you. And so today's episode is going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to be going through every single episode that we released this year. That would take way too long. I want to say it was something like 43 episodes that we actually did this year. So we're not going to go through all of those. But we will go through that and hit some of the biggest themes that emerge from all of those conversations. It's quite amazing how when you step back, you can see the bigger story God is writing across the full year. So one of the first things we're going to go talk about is personal growth and self-leadership. You know, that's the foundation of what we do here. From habits to mindset to the book review, I'll share the biggest lessons that shaped my own growth in 2025. Then we'll get into coaching, mindset, and confidence. Those transformational moments where guests opened up, breakthrough conversations happened, and many of you reached out saying, Aaron, that one hit home to me. These episodes sharpened my coaching voice and clarified where I'm heading in 2026. After that, we're going to zoom out. We're going to talk about the larger story of the year: leadership, business, and real world growth. This is going to include the leaders, entrepreneurs, and coaches who shared with us what grit, humility, and resilience really look like, whether it was in business, on the field, or just in everyday life. And finally, we'll land the plane with purpose, impact, and the vision for 2026. The faith moments, the stories that stuck with me, the relationships that shaped this year, and what you can expect as we move into a new season for the Clark Connection podcast. So, wherever you're listening from, maybe still recovering from those Thanksgiving leftovers. I know I'm stuffed. But thank you for being a part of this community. This episode is about gratitude, growth, and gearing up for what's ahead. Let's jump into our year in review. Yeah, so here we go. The launch, the start of the year in review. And again, I really want to be sincere when I tell you guys that I am grateful for you. Now, I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for the listeners. That you guys are the reason that got me started with the whole podcast. That we started back in 2024, and it's been quite amazing to hear how you guys are growing throughout the year. And so that, you've taught me a lot of lessons. Even our conversations, one I immediately go back and think to is the one with my friend Chris Appleton, and how the importance it is to be humble as a leader and stay vulnerable, and how he calls vulnerability the leadership superpower, and being able to own when you make a mistake as a leader, and show your team that you made the mistake. It's a huge, huge thing when they can see that you are willing to own your mistakes. Powerful moment in the show. One that I think about when we talked about with Coach David Semino, that was the importance of unplugging and taking a second to look back and see what happened, and not just this year, but look at back what happened today, and then look back at what happened last week and last month, and really unplugging and enjoying and protecting those times you have as a leader, that when you're not being surrounded by everybody, and enjoying that time with those that you love the most. One of the most impactful ones, because I know that's one that I have a hard time doing, is unplugging, that and spending time with those that I love. And we brought about some great things throughout this year too. One, you can see right now, I finally went and got that podcast mic. I have one for it. I've always been using some sort of microphone, but that ended up getting a new producer and a new. Oh man, I'm blanking on it. They put together all my shows, and this is one that they said, hey, if you want to keep going, you want to keep growing, that you need this bad boy right here. Get you a mic, get you a good one. So went ahead and did that. That we've added a coming up in the episode portion of the podcast. So at the beginning of every show, you're getting to see, hey, here's kind of some key moments to look out for, and to look at what to expect within the show. But then being able, input from you guys on, hey, add some cooler graphics. And that's what the new producer that was able to bring for me. And it's such an incredible thing that I'm very, very, very grateful for all of that, because as a leader, you have to be willing to stretch and grow. You can't, if you stay the same, you got worse, guys. You've heard me say it once, you've heard me say it 1,000 times. You do one of two things every single day. You either get better or you get worse. And we're always trying to get better. So I'm extremely grateful for you guys reaching out and giving those suggestions. We brought in Ask the Coach that portions, and that's one that I'm going to talk about later, that you're going to see some changes to how that comes about, and that's suggestions that you guys bring about. Now remember, this is about you. This is about helping you grow. But in the process, you're helping me grow and become better. And so I really do love this community. And so want to really get into what theme number one for this podcast is today. And that's personal growth and self-leadership. Personal growth and self-leadership. And I start here because this is the foundation for what the Clark Connection podcast is all about. I started off at the end of 2023. My sons finally convinced me to do some TikTok videos to post on there because we're traveling all the time. And so I'm giving them leadership lessons. And they were like, Dad, this would be something that would be trendy. This would be something that people love. So I started doing it. And so I'm very grateful for Larry reaching out to me, seeing a couple of videos and going, dude, you ever thought about doing a podcast? You would do great. And I went back just to watch the very first one. Yeah, if you hadn't, go watch episode 1 and episode 2. They're not very good. My first interviews are not very good. But that's why I finish every single episode. You don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. And when you go back and you look, and I'm watching even episodes, was watching some from that it started this year. Episode 28, our very first one this year, that was make growth your goal. The content was great, but looking where I am now, that guy was not very good. If you look over there, But again, growth was my number one goal for the year. And this is what I want to encourage each and every single one of you to do, is to make growth your goal. As you start going into 2026, start thinking about that. What am I going to do to make me better? How do I make me better? And it seems something so counterintuitive. So like, man, what are you talking? Like, as a leader, I'm supposed to be thinking. You said, as a leader, I give up the right to think about my team, or to think about myself. And it was funny because I was talking to a couple of my team members about that, how I'm constantly looking to see how do I help them. But it's important that you develop you and that you make you the best you. Because if I'm not getting better, my team can't get better. So if you aren't getting better, your team can't get better. They won't go past what your level is. And so that was one of my goals. Read 25 books this year. I was actually surprised. I started looking at and I was thinking about it as I was getting ready, and I went, wow, I don't think I've read that much. And I told everybody I was going to make growth my goal. And so I sat down and started writing down the books that I read this year. And when I got to the end of it, I was like, geez Louise. I read 25 books this year. I don't know that I've ever read that many books in a year. And all sorts of different topics. They're learning from other leaders. They're from books of the Bible. I read 11 books this year so far out of the books of the Bible. And then they're hitting up another 14 additional books. And so that when you really sit back and reflect on it, because there's been a lot of challenges this year, guys. It's been a challenging year, but when I look back over it, it's been a great year for growth. I started off also telling you guys that I wanted to lose another 20 pounds. When we launched episode 28, that I was at 220 pounds. And man, I struggled through the year. I was working out 3 to 4 times a week, trying to lose some weight. I was changing a little bit here in my diet, a little bit there. Had a health scare back in the middle of the year, at the end of August, beginning of September. I sought out the help of, and he was actually a guest on here, Dr. Bob Smith, and we were able to go through and rework my diet, rework some stuff, and man, I was able to go with Dr. Bob's help. I've now hit that goal of under 200 pounds, and as of today, I was 194 pounds. And so celebrate those moments, celebrate those wins, celebrate all of those things as you've done this year. And remember, it's not a huge thing. It's not a huge step. I can't go out. You can't go out with the idea that said, wow, Aaron, I'm going to go and lose that 40 pounds today. It's not going to happen. I saw somebody was talking about, where most people mess up whenever they're setting their goals. And is that, if they say, hey, I'm going to go run 10 miles today, and you may be in, some of you probably are athletic enough and in good enough shape to go run 10 miles. But for most of us, if I were to go run 10 miles today, I promise you I wouldn't be running tomorrow or the next day or the next day. And so you got to start small. Pick those small targets and make sure that you're open to learning how to do that. And if you need help with that, guys, hit me up. That's what I love doing. I love helping to shape leaders and help you to grow. That's what the Clark Leadership and Development is all about. And that's what the Clark Connection podcast is about. And so if you liked what you heard so far, make sure you hit subscribe. That way you don't miss out. Hit those notifications. But then share this with other people. That this is how we continue to make an impact on the world around you. That's something that'll take you less than 30 seconds to hit subscribe, but then to share with other people. So do that. Other things that we did, staying on that personal growth that we did, is I talked about growth recommendations and gave you a laundry list of books. And I mean, you could see a bunch behind me that you can go through and do. But one that I thought was important is we did 4 different book reviews, so one each quarter this year. So the first one was Atomic Habits, and again, phenomenal book. I that's one, if you're can't figure out how to get your day going, they start there. Atomic Habits is a phenomenal one. Then we did Can't Hurt Me. If you get easily offended and your feelings hurt, Don't do Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, because he just don't care about your feelings. That one's a tough one. And then we talked about winning the war in your mind. Winning the war in your mind. That's, again, another one. And then we just wrapped up The Traveler's Gift. And that's one of my favorite books of all time. Andy Andrews does a phenomenal job. And so go start there. We're going to, and I'll talk about it a little bit later on. I think that was what I have. No, I have it in here in my notes. Our next book review is going to be The Energy Bus. So if you're wanting to go ahead and get in there with us and know, hey, this is what they're actually talking about, go ahead and start reading The Energy Bus. Like, me and Caitlin will be recording that at some point between now and 2026. But go ahead and read through it, because we want to hear from you. And then we're also going to be posting polls on my Instagram page. So make sure you're going to my Instagram page, the Clark Connection Podcast. Tell us what you want to hear. I want to know what you want to hear, because how do I help you grow if I don't know what you want? And so make sure that you're doing that. And we're going to post those polls and tell us. We'll give you like 4 or 5 books that we're looking at doing, and tell us, hey, this is the next one we want to hear about. Excuse me. And so moving into theme number 2, coaching, mindset, and confidence. And so some excellent episodes to highlight on this one. I did a live coaching session with Drake Vargas, that phenomenal young man. I love talking with him and hearing. I mean, he's doing phenomenal things right now. Working with Judge Shepard down in New Orleans. And I'm not going to tell everything, because I need to connect with him just to see what all is on his plans. But gosh, talk about somebody, a leader that's moving and grooving. Drake Vargas. And then, we episode 35 we did with Brittany Robert, and she talked about how she's helping with Crowns and Confidence, and how she helps through her pageant, Pelican State pageant, to help shape these young ladies into confident leaders. I love what Brittany is doing with her people and her organization. And she did also just open up a new hot yoga studio, Yoga 90, in Denham Springs area. So for those of you that are in the Baton Rouge area, go check it out. That Brittany, that is a phenomenal person to work with. And then, we had others that came in. Patrick Bordelon talked about creating confidence and teaching how, through music, he teaches his students to self-reflect and self-learn. Another great one. And then embracing change. I talked at the end of October, beginning of November, embracing those changes that come with leadership. And then one of my favorites that I did was my tribute to Roy Jenkins, the Lion Chaser. That's episode 62. So if you hadn't listened to that one, go listen to it. And these are all different times. These are ones where there were others that I could have thrown in here where people were like, wow, that one hit home. That one really reached out and touched me. And being able to know that this is where we're trying to go with the show, that to be able to help you. And again, it's all about you. It's all about the listeners. It's all about making sure that we help you to become the best that you can come. And then rolling into theme number 3. And again, this one's a broader one because we touched on a lot of good stuff here. Like leadership, business, and real world growth. And again, a lot of different things here. This is where, I already talked about Chris, but we'd met with Chris Appleton and got to talk about heart-centered hustle there. They even brought in assistant special teams coordinator for the Giants, Cameron Acord, one of my good friends, and just how he's able to help take what they're learning on the football field and apply it to real life. Because after sports, we all know your career is pretty much, it's a short-lived thing. Most people, 95% of people, their athletic career ends their 12th grade year of high school. So after they finish high school, it's over. So 5% go on and play some sort of college football. It's college athletics, not just football, sorry. Football guy. But then out of that 5%, it's less than 1%. So when that 5% makes a whole 100%, it's less than 1% of those people go on and get paid to play their sport. And so, and that was one that Coach Semino talked about as well. David Semino was talking about that. And just kind of quick update on them. He was talking about, or what are we going to do? Are we going to reload? And so at the time of this recording, they're in the quarterfinals of the playoffs. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens. Does it keep going? And I think that's a testament to him and his staff and the leaders that they're creating on the football field. Because it's more than just what's happening now. It's about life after athletics. We had some great, talking about through mentorship moments and entrepreneurship moments. One that I think about was Rustam Irani. And Rustam was talking about how, taking that leap of faith to jump out and create his own marketing business in something that he didn't even go to. He went to college to be an engineer. And, Matt Chin was another one that I talked about with that. And he went from working in the casino world to now as the COO of Unisa. So those are good ones. Other things that we added in that were part of yours. We talked about the Ask the Coach. And so you guys sent in a lot of suggestions, a lot of ideas on what can we do to add your questions. How do we get that and throw those out there? Because chances are, if you have those questions, other people have those questions as well. And so I do appreciate that. So if you do, again, have questions, hit me up on social media is probably the easiest way to do it. But also, if you look down in the show notes, and go ahead and take a quick second and look down there. There's a form for you to fill out. It's going to take you there. You can be anonymous, or you can give us a made-up name. It doesn't matter. But drop your question in there. And we will, Caitlin and myself, they will answer that live. Chances are we'll answer it live on the air. And so, that was one. Other things in here, I was trying to go through and just kind of looking through my notes, seeing what I may have missed out on our third theme, leadership, business, and real world growth. But we had some special moments in here. One of our sponsors of the show, Vicky Hubbard, with Hubbard Flooring Studio. It didn't. Whenever she got the company, she's been with them over 30 years. But now she was talking about, it took a lot to change their location. They've been successful. They moved their location to where they are now on Bolin Avenue, and then changed their logo. They rebranded. They end this move, and that's a scary thing to do if you hadn't done it. Let me tell you guys, if people know who you are, it's scary to move and change. And that was one that Vicky talked about, that as they did it, it helped them grow and hit another level. So they went, they were here, but now they were able to step it up again. And so sometimes those are risks that you have to take in order to do that. Yeah, and I do the Ask the Coach. That's one of my favorites that we've added in. And that was one that you guys added. And that was one that came about. I wasn't sure how to get it in here. And so I'd been working and mentoring Caitlin Michelet for a while. And she was like, well, I want to get on the show. 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 And I didn't want it to be just a one and done type thing. Most of my guests, we're reaching out, we're finding, we're connecting with new people. And so I didn't want it to just be, hey, you're on here. And that was one that, as we were talking, I was able to go, look, this is what we're going to do with that. I'm going to make you my co-host of that. That way you can get in and we can tell your story. And that's one that we will, going into 2026. I had somebody ask me, I don't remember if it was last week or a week ago or 2 weeks ago, but it had to have been 2 or 3, whatever the Traveler's Gift one was. So that was 2 weeks ago, I think. Let me look back through the notes. Yeah, because this is episode 70. Crazy to think that this is that we did 43 episodes this year. But they were like, so who's the blonde chick? Which I thought was absolutely hysterical. And I was like, well, dude, it said it at the beginning of the show. And then I went, I never really fully came in and introduced who Caitlin was. And so that's one that we are going to add in to the show, is we're going to add in one to introduce who is Caitlin. But then also we're going to moving into 2026 with that there's several of you, as we've grown. We started off the year with just maybe 50 followers and subscribers to now we're over 300 subscribers and listeners to the show. So that's one I am going to go back. And it might be kind of fun to compare episode 1 to episode 71. Just to see how I've grown through there. But just to reintroduce myself there. And so those are things that you're going to see as we go into, and kind of brings us into theme number 4 for the purpose, impact, and vision for 2026. So one that we're wanting to do, I've been sitting around, I was talking with my wife, Dawn, and Caitlin, and then started, you've got the new production team, but also with working with a new marketing company as well. The one that they were suggesting and saying is for 2026, instead of just having an entire episode of Ask the Coach, let's sprinkle that in throughout the episodes. So make it something that happens on a weekly basis. Pick one, maybe two, and answer those questions as you're recording. So I thought that was good. So again, this is where I need your help to go ahead and put that in on that form. Drop it in the notes. It's down in the notes. Fill it out, and we can answer that. And the one that's I'm always going to bring and make it a part of my show and my episode, that is my faith. I want my slogan for the Coach Clark leadership and development is faith, families, futures. And so that's, to me, you've got to have your priorities straight. And so I'm always going to continue to work on my faith and believe in God. And that's one, guys, if you're not sure, where do you stand in your relationship with Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior, I'd love for you to reach out to me as a motocross minister, pastor. Reach out to me. I would love to be able to talk with you about that. And one that if you hadn't seen if you go back and watch the episode with Drake, you'll see I'm not going to be very confrontational about a whole lot of stuff on that. I'm not afraid of confrontation. But it's one that I would love to have a serious conversation with you. And where do you stand with your faith? Love talking about that with people. Going to bring in some more mentorship episodes. That's one, and you'll see it whenever we talk with Caitlin. She's got a phenomenal story, and I'm not gonna spoil it for you. But she does. She's got a phenomenal story with how she started out and getting to where she is today. So phenomenal stories there. But then bring in other people that I'm doing mentorship with, and just let them talk with you about the importance of how coaching and receiving and having a coach and a mentor has made for them. But I'm also and again, kind of sneak peeks into next year, I'm bringing in some of my mentors. I want to go through and talk with them. Wanting to bring in, I'm hoping this will work out. But one of my high school coaches, he has agreed to come onto the show, and it's going to be fun because I know, man, just in some of our different talkings, you might get some funny stories about young Aaron. So stay tuned on that. We've got a huge lineup. We're bringing in new sponsors, and there are still going to be some. Vicky's not going anywhere. When I talked with her about it to see if she was still going to be on board for 2026, and she said she's not going anywhere. She loves what we do here, and she loves knowing that she's helping to develop other leaders. So she's not going anywhere. Work hadn't been able to get on timing yet to do the recording for her next episode, but I want to get her on. They're bringing in some others around here, so I'm not going to spoil those surprises because I want y'all to see them. And stay tuned for 2026 when we launch that. But that's going to be one that you're going to want to see. Who are the people that we're bringing in? But then also, like I said, we're going to add in a segment as well that I think is important. We've had all these guests on here, and I didn't go down and count every single one since we've started. But it's been over 40 guests. Where are they now? What happened to them? And just one that I had on that previously was Coach Sid Edwards. At the time, he was running for mayor president of Baton Rouge. He has since become the mayor president of Baton Rouge. And so working to get him back on, and let's talk about that. But then I've got another friend who's trying to help me get in touch with somebody who helped restore the USS Kidd. And there's a lot of cool things that you guys are helping me to get in touch with other people, because there are so many cool stories that are happening that people need to know about. And that's why I wanted this to come about. People don't hear any more of the good stuff. That if you watch the news, that God bless you, that I don't watch it because it's always like bad stuff, bad stuff, bad stuff, more bad stuff. And we don't need that, guys. What we need is to hear positive, encouraging stories that you can do it, that you can make that struggle and you can make that go through. And so that's what I want to talk about. That's why I started this, and to let you know, because I know there are a lot of people out here that want to get started with their own thing, but they're not sure if they can do it. And you can. But you just have to take the first step. And if you don't know what that is, hit me up. I love talking with people about this. And so I've actually been talking with 2 other people right now who are looking to start their own podcast. I don't own the podcast realm, but I want to help you if that's what you want to do. And how cool, let's tie it in. Let's make it work. Such cool stuff to see. And many other big names coming through. So we're wanting to bring in bigger. And again, it's all about adding value to you, the listener. Book progress. That was one thing that I was told to bring in, mention here. You know, that's one that I started working on this year. 2025 was, I've got a book that I want to write. Not going to spoil it for you, so you go definitely have to stay in and subscribed and follow on all the socials to get that. But it's just something that I'm passionate about and want to get out and help as many people in their leadership development. Stuff you're going to see. We will have in 2026 a brand new website. So if you've been to Coach A. Clark before, just know that it was put together by yours truly. And you may look at it and go, are you sure it was put together by you, Aaron? Yes, it was. But I've got somebody else building the website now, and they are coming through. There's going to be some bold changes. We're going to have some great stuff going in here. That was one that even talking with last year with Case. Me and Case talk regularly. And so that was one that we started talking about, and he was like, fix your website. Make people want to look at it. And so, and again, I'm learning from people too on here. So I love this. The book recommendations, I'm going to be adding a blog portion to the website of the book recommendations that people have recommended. And so like one that I always recommend to everybody is How to Win Friends and Influence People. And so like I'm just going to put the book and then I'll put who all recommended behind it. And so that's going to be a list that's constantly growing. That's going to be, and again, it's there for you. And then you can easily go download that book off of the Libby app. If you've got a library card, download the Libby app. Your local libraries are now doing digital libraries. You can download the app, read the book on, you can read it on this thing. You could read it on, it's actually odd that I actually have my iPad in here too. But you can read it on your iPad, your phone. Or if you want to listen to it. You can do all of that on there. And so that's good. You'll start seeing I'm going to be offering more live workshops and masterminds. Some of them may be virtual. Some of them may be in person. We're going to do a mixture, and some may be hybrid. If you can make it in person, great. If you can't, having it live streamed so you can be a part of it too. So we're doing a lot of cool stuff and big plans moving into 2026. And again, it's all with the purpose to help you. That's what the purpose is. Oh yeah, on the website, I was like, there was something else that I was missing. There will be, I went ahead and recorded some classes. And so that's going to be there for you as well. There are some classes that you can purchase for you to work on your leadership and your personal growth. It's always an option there. And if you want to dive deeper into it, reach out to me. And I would love to help coach you through 2026. I would love to help your team through 2026. It's one of my favorite things to do. So as we wrap up this year in review, I just want to pause and say thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for listening, for growing, and for being a part of this community. Thank you for helping you guys. Every episode we recorded in 2025 had one goal: to help you lead yourself well so you can lead others well. And looking back over these themes, personal growth, mindset, confidence, leadership, business, and purpose, I can honestly say that this has been one of the most meaningful years of my life as a coach, as a leader, husband, father, and a host. And before we officially close out, I want to once again thank Vicki and the entire team at Hubbard Flooring Studio for sponsoring today's episode. Vicki, thank you for believing in this show and supporting the mission to help leaders grow. And remember, right now she's offering 24 months, 0% financing, plus 20% off rugs and a free bottle cleaner when you mention me, Coach Clark. So make sure you check them out and support those who support this podcast and helping you grow. So that's Vicki with Hubbard Flooring Studio. And looking ahead into 2026, I'm fired up. We've got new coaching episodes coming, deeper leadership conversations, more Ask the Coach segments, that brand new book review series that's starting with the Energy Bus, new partnerships, new opportunities, and a new season of growth for this entire community. I truly believe the best is still ahead. So thank you for an incredible year. Thank you for your messages, your support, your feedback, your shares, and for trusting me to speak into your journey. And I don't take that lightly. So remember, you don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. So keep leading, keep learning, and keep connecting. And I'll see you on the next episode, Clark Connection Podcast. Thanks for listening to the Clark Connection Podcast, where my goal is to add value to you. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow the show. You can also connect with me via my website, coachaclark.com, or on all socials at coach_A_Clark. The links are in the description. Huge thanks to my sponsors, Wayne with 7K Metals, Bobby with the Comfy Quest LLC, Andrew with Automate Integrate Professional Services, Joseph with Landscape King, and Chris and Jess with C&J Embroidery. Hey, we look forward to bringing you more great content. See you next week.